there, beer tubers. Welcome back to Maxwell Starr's beer reviews. Well, you know what time of year it is? It's fall. And you know what fall means? Big, giant glasses of Oktoberfest beer. So, guess what showed up in stores here in New Brunswick and is actually apparently supposed to be making it in the stores in Nova Scotia as well, from what I've heard. Gonna take a look tonight at one of Pump House's new beers, or rather, seasonal beers. Pump House Oktoberfest. Now, the St. John Ale House here was actually, a couple weeks ago, had an Oktoberfest special where they had this on tap, and you could buy, I think it was like $10 for a big, giant 1 liter mass jug. I've got a Polliner one here from my review last year of the Polliner Oktoberfest. I'm not going to use that tonight. But, yeah, they had a special one where they had like one big giant 1 liter jug and like sausage or whatever. I didn't get a chance to go. I was so sick that weekend, but they had that down there. I was actually thinking I probably wouldn't get a chance to try the Pump House Oktoberfest, and maybe it's just a one-time only thing. And then they came around and actually released the bloody thing to bottles. So I can't thank them enough for actually going ahead and doing that. They put them out in these new boxes here, or they say Pump House Seasonal Brew. And inside, of course, they've got, you know, the list of like 6 bottles of each label. And they released this one alongside one of their other ones that's been around for years, the Thai Wheat, which I'm also going to look at. But first of all, let's take a look at the Oktoberfest. So, what is an Oktoberfest? Well, an Oktoberfest beer is a Marzen, which is typically, it's brewed generally around harvest times. I mean, I think that's how the Oktoberfest really took off, because, you know, October is harvest time in the Northern Hemisphere. The big deal with it is that it's a very malt-forward lager, whereas it's still a lager, but it's got a lot more malt content. And very little hops, so it's really, they generally come off as a nice, easy, clean, drinkable, but sweet tasting beer that's so tasty. And I gotta say, Marzen's one of my favorite styles, and I look forward to this time of year every year. So, thank you for sending this out, Pump House, so I get to review a nice fall beer from New Brunswick. So let's take a look at this. Pour it in my Sam Adams glass here. I love the orange color on it. The one finger ahead, it's not exactly like a very poofy looking beer. It's very clear. It's mainly like an orange golden. Very orange in the center, some golden hue around the edges, lots of carbonation too. The head's got a slight hue to it. It's almost difficult to say whether it's like a pinkish hue or a peachish hue, or I'm gonna guess that it's gonna be something similar, like a, well, the carbonation, the substance of the skin of the bubbles themselves are probably made up of the same beer material that's in here, and really that's a slightly orange head, but it kind of looks, it's probably the lighting in here. So I mean, I've got a fluorescent bulb in here, and I suppose that one's real. Yeah, it's sort of like a brown, slightly tan, but it's mainly white. So, looks good. Let's give it a sniff. Oh yeah. That nice, fruity, hint of caramel, but big malt forward kind of smell in it. There's very little trace of hops. There's maybe like a tiny hint of like an herbal hop note. Typical of like a noble hop or a German kind of style. But it's very malt forward. It smells like caramel candy with a hint of apple. It's like candy apple. It definitely smells inviting. It smells like something you really want to drink. So, down the hatch. Oh yeah. That's good. It's got a big caramel note that's slightly fruity. It almost comes off, I don't believe there's any spices in here because it's not part of the Marzen style. But it almost comes off, it's got like some fall spice in there, like a pumpkin pie would. But I think it's the way that the malt's toasted. And I believe that it's a toasted caramel, a hint of butterscotch in that kind of general area. A slightly fruity note, but it's a toasted caramel. It's almost like burnt caramel. It's almost like it's the taste in it, the strong malty sweetness almost comes across as having like almost like a creme brulee, like a burnt caramel kind of taste to it, and it's really friggin' tasty. It's also very clean. Leaves in a lingering earthy bitterness, and it goes along with that little bit of touch of a roasted bitterness, like a roasted malt bitterness. It's not a very thick beer, but that's one downside I could say for this is, if anything, is that it's a little too thick, whereas like Polliner's Oktoberfest is kind of a little cleaner. It's a little easier to drink. That one goes down darn smooth. This one's going down smooth enough, but it's almost sticks in your throat a little. And I think that's coming from the malt. It's not like hella sweet or anything. It's not like drinking an imperial stout sweet. It's like there's a little bit of, there's a decent amount of sweetness in the back, but it's kind of rich. It's a little too rich for an Oktoberfest, but depending upon where you buy it, like I described earlier, that you know, the ale house in St. John was having a special, $10 a jug, really. Don't drink too many of those anyway, otherwise you out of money. But if you want to sit down with a nice 6-pack of these and some sausage, I think these are going for $13 right now in New Brunswick, so for a 6-pack, and that's quite nice, at least for here. That's a nice beer. You know, I'm going to call it right now. I had a chance to have one of these last night. I kind of already knew what to think coming into this review, and I freaking loved it. It's got to be one of the best ones that I've ever had. I would have to say that this is kind of like what Samuel Adams Oktoberfest would be if it were perfect. Like Sam Adams Oktoberfest, it's got a slight off kind of corny note, and it's a little too sweet. But if they were going for that sweeter Marzen kind of taste, this one does it extremely well. It has some nice, subtle, complex nuances with that little bit of roasted bitterness in with the herbal bitterness, herbal earthy bitterness, as well as that nice, like, creme brulee toasted caramel note in the back, which is really quite delicious. And I am going to enjoy drinking the rest of that 6-pack. I may even go back for more. I don't know yet. But Pump House, if you release this every year, you have a guaranteed drinker here, because I love Marzens, and that's got to be the best one I've had from the province. So I'm going to give that a high 4 out of 5. It's not quite 4.5, but it's definitely a good one. And if you see it, be sure to pick up Pump House's Oktoberfest. Very good beer. 5.7% ABV, by the way, if you don't know. Definitely a good beer, so give it a try. Talk to you later, guys. Cheers.